who's the favored candidate in Las Vegas, Tom?
Rappaport talked about it last week. Certainly, there is a high degree of intrigue with Ben Johnson. And Tom Brady has, studied everybody this year because he's been working in the booth. Ben Johnson said they first met before a game against Green Bay very briefly. Ben's clearly been, one of the top candidates over the last couple of cycles as well. I get the sense that he's more ready to take a job now. If it comes down to, offers or opportunities with three different teams, the Raiders, the Bears, and the Jaguars, which is the three interviews that he was willing to take, they've all got upsides and downsides on them. In Chicago, you have Caleb Williams in place. He's got a great deal of physical ability, but has not put it together just yet. You also have an established administration in terms of Ryan Poles being there as the GM, Kevin Warren as the president. Are you comfortable with that particular structure? In Jacksonville, Trent Baalke, it appears, is not going anywhere. And Shad Khan believes in the roster that Trent Baalke has put together. You've also got a quarterback who's in place there in Trevor Lawrence, who he's been a roller coaster ride in terms of performance through his career, but you know what he is. And, Ben Johnson's taken over a former number one overall draft pick who's had a little roller coaster career before, and it's worked out pretty well with Jared Goff in Detroit. And then in Vegas, you've got probably the hardest task ahead of you in terms of there's no quarterback. There's not a lot of talent on that roster, though, the short-lived GM, Tom Telesco, left some good pieces in place, led by Brock Bowers. You've got Max Crosby, whether that's somebody you're going to extend or potentially is he a trade pit chip somewhere down the line. But you've got a ton of unknowns. You've got a place that has not had stability. I believe Mark Davis wants stability, but he also wants to win. And he feels like, other than John Gruden, which his hand was forced based on circumstances a few years ago, he hasn't gotten the right people in place. You're talking about taking over a team with no quarterback and a general shortage of talent on the roster in a division where you're going to be going up for the foreseeable future against Andy Reid, Sean Payton, and Jim Harbaugh. That's a lot. I would say that's the toughest task. But you also don't have a GM in place. You may have more influence in terms of the entire process and the putting together of the operation. You have a guy in Tom Brady who clearly is trying to sell Ben Johnson through intermediaries on coming to Las Vegas here and saying, hey, we can get this thing right, but I need you to be a part of the process. So you've got three different scenarios here. To give a shorter answer, yes, Ben Johnson is, I believe, the top candidate for the Las Vegas Raiders. They've got Robert Saleh in the building today. They had Pete Carroll in recently as well. I don't entirely know if they don't get Ben what the pivot is for Las Vegas, but certainly I anticipate that they're going to have multiple plans here as they move forward and these things heat up in the coming days and weeks.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.